Welcome back to my channel. This is Nikki of Nikki's Homemade Crafts. Welcome to the Mosaic Crochet Mystery Crochet Along Part 1. We're going to use two different types of yarn. They're both worsted weighted yarn, or at least I'm using them. You can totally use something different. If you're choosing to use the exact same yarn as me, you can do the exact same project twice with both of these skeins, okay? I used about half of this skein and about a little over a third of this skein, okay, for one project. So that means there's plenty left over in order to make a second project. If you haven't picked out your colors yet, I recommend colors that are kind of the same color scheme. So you can see there's some reds and pinks and purples in here, which is very nice with this burgundy color together. You can also use red or purple here. That's totally fine as well if you're picking the exact same color as me. So for the anti-pilling yarn, I use burgundy, and for the Momenti yarn, I use sweet pea yarn. Both of them are worsted weighted yarn, and you can see that this one has obviously a lot more yardage than this skein. So you have a little bit left over for this one. But both of these are incredible yarns. Absolutely love them, and I highly recommend you check those out. We're also using a 4mm hook for this project, and just that you know right away in the beginning, we're using overlay Mosaic Crochet because that's my favorite. It's also the easiest one to learn and understand. So there's also inset Mosaic Crochet, but that's a little bit different. We're using overlay Mosaic Crochet, and we're doing it in rounds. So let's get started. So if you've never done Mosaic Crochet before, no worries at all. I'm teaching you how to do this in part 1 right here. You can pick either color to start with. I prefer the color that is a little bit darker to start with, but you can totally switch them around. It really doesn't matter. Before we get started, I would like to explain to you the graph. You will get the video, of course, that's right here. You're going to get the graph, and you're going to get a written pattern. I personally prefer the graph over the written pattern because visualizing where you are and what it looks like is much easier to understand than the written pattern. But you can pick either one. So let me explain what all of this means, okay? So you will have one color per row. There's no color changes within a row. Everything is separated by rows. So I added here a separate column here on the side, on the left side. This is like column 23 right here. That one is not counted as a stitch or a row or whatever you want to call it. This is just your color column. So you know exactly which color you need to pick. Now you need to determine which of these is which. So I'm using the darker color for the red and the lighter color or the multicolor for the white. Now, once you have that established, then you need to understand what all of this means. You have pixels in either color that have no X in it, okay? So these two, so either this one or this one as an example, okay? Those ones are single crochets in the back loop only. The ones with the X's in it, okay, are mosaic double crochets. Mosaic double crochets are double crochets 2 rows down to the exact same color done in the front loop, meaning the loop that is left over. You did most of it in the back loop, but there's always a loop left over, and that's the one you're going to use for the double crochet, the mosaic double crochet. So that's all you need to know, and I don't need you to get confused with one important thing, and that's the one that most people get confused with, is the color that is underneath the X's. Okay, I need you to completely ignore them. Okay, I literally wrote it down over here. When crocheting, ignore the color below the X. Okay, the reason it is colored is because you are crocheting a double crochet down 2 rows. So meaning that color is covering the one behind it. Okay, it is just visualizing how it's going to look like at the end. But as you are crocheting it, you will be crocheting this in white. So let me remind you again. When crocheting, ignore the color that is below the X. You will not need to know that. It does not matter. You could totally even make a graph that has no spots over there if you wish to do so. So, for example, row 1 right here, round 1 is going to be I'm just going to call it red and white right now, okay? It's just going to be red. Row 2 is just going to be white. Ignore that there is red over here. Totally ignore that. It's just going to be white. In row 3, you're going to have red, 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 red. Even here, red. And now there's a double crochet down 2 rows. Red. So when I say red, I mean single crochet in a back loop only, right? Then double crochet down, and then the rest of it is just single crochet in a back loop only. Okay, so that means you're only doing 2 things. You're either doing the single crochet in a back loop only when there is no X there, and if you see an X, you're going to do a double crochet down 2 rows. Ignore the color below the X's. Completely ignore it. Got it? Let's get started. So I have here a small graph because it's easier to see than the big graph, but you are actually repeating this graph 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You're doing that 4 times, okay? In a round. So that means you should have in every row 88 stitches because one of these is 22. So it's 22 times 4, it's 88. So now you can do it wholly in chains, then connect the chain, the first and the last loop, and then get started. But when you make a chain, there's less stretch. So I need you to have a little bit of stretch there. So that means we're actually going to do the chainless foundation chain. So let me show you how to do that. So as I said, I'm going to get started with my dark color. So make 2 chains, 1 and 2. And now you're going to insert your hook into the very first chain that you made, making sure that you have 2 loops on the top. Okay, so let me come a little closer so you can see that. So I went through it, so that means there's 1 in the back of it. Okay, so you go through it such that you have 2 loops here on the top. Yarn over and pull through. Now that is your chain, the bottom chain of your chainless foundation chain. Let me remind you, the chainless foundation chain makes the chain and the first row at the same time. So we're making both the chain and the single crochet row at the same time. So this is your chain part. Now yarn over and pull through. So now you have 2 loops on your hook. It's a little bit more visible now. There's your chain. These are your 2 loops for the single crochet. Yarn over and pull through both. Now you have your chain down here and the single crochet right on top. Now, remember where your chain is. You're going to insert your hook again, go through such there's 2 loops right on top of it. Okay, now yarn over and pull through. Again, you made your chain, yarn over and pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook for your single crochet, yarn over and pull through. Okay, now let's do that one more time. So you go through your chain that you made. You have 2 loops right there. Okay, yarn over and pull through, made your chain, yarn over and pull through. You have your 2 loops for your single crochet, yarn over and pull through. You're going to keep going until you have 88 of them. Okay, 88 stitches. You're going to count here from the first one. Do not count the chains here in the back. They don't count. So we have 1, 2, 3 just made. You're going to do that until you have 88, and then you're going to connect the first and last stitch together. I made half of the project just to have a smaller version for this video tutorial, so mine only has 44, but you are making 88. Okay, you're going to see it looks exactly the same, just a little smaller. Just for the video tutorial, it makes sense to make it a little smaller. So once you are done and you have your loop, you're going to connect the first and the last stitch together. So I like to pull out my loop and go through. Let me kind of pull it a little bit bigger just so I'm not losing it. I'm going to go through the very first stitch. It's not the chain, it's the stitch. Okay, and now I'm going to take my loop from the last stitch and I'm going to pull it through. Okay, that's all you're going to do. Boop, and then you're done. Make the loop a little bit bigger because we're literally dropping that loop. Okay, so pull it a little bit and then let it go. Okay, that's how it's going to look like. So now we need to start with the second color. So let go of this color and pick up your next color. What you're going to do is you're going to make a slip knot and you're going to attach your hook to it. Make sure that the loop is not too tight. You can see there's a little bit of room. It's about half of the hook size, if you can see that. Okay, so it's attached to my hook. Now I'm inserting through the first stitch, but in the back loop only. I'm going to go through it. Okay, I'm going to grab my yarn, ignore the tail. You can totally weave that in as you go, but I like to do it at the end. Now yarn over and pull through, and now you see you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through. You made your very first single crochet, and as you can see, we didn't actually make a chain, so it looks much cleaner that way. Now it's time to look at our graph. We made our very first round, so let's check that off. We're now working on the second round, which again I told you is just single crochets and a back loop only. We are ignoring the colors below the X's, okay? So it doesn't matter that they're red over here. It does not matter, okay? We're just gonna do single crochets and a back loop only. There are no X's here. So let's do just that. So the entire round is done in just single crochets in the back loop only. So that's really all you're doing in this round. So let me finish my round and I'll show you how it looks like at the end. Once you're done, it is time to slip stitch the first to the last stitch of that round. So you're going to do the exact same thing as you did in the very first round. You're going to pull out your loop a little bit. You're going to insert your hook through the very first stitch that you made. Okay, go through both loops, even though this was done in a single crochet back loop only. Go through both loops, and you're gonna put your loop over and pull it back, and make sure your loop is big enough because you don't want to lose it. Okay, so I like to make it a little bit bigger, like so. And now I'm gonna drop my yarn. Now I need to pick up my first color again. So what you're going to do is you need to figure out, is the first stitch going to be a single crochet or a double crochet? So let's take a look real quick. We did round 2 and now you're working on round 3. So round 3 is again the dark color for me. So we're going to count now how many stitches we have until we have the very first X. So let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stitches until we get to our X. Okay, then we have 1 X, 1 single crochet. So the X is the double crochet, right? 1 single crochet, 1 double crochet, and now we have afterwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 single crochets again. So I'm just going to write this down over here so I know it. So it's 8 over here, and then this one is 11. Okay, because you're going to do the exact same graph 4 times. So that means after the 8 right here, you have to do 11 again. So you can totally combine it and say 19. It's up to you. So let's do that together here. You're going to take your hook, insert it through the back loop only of the very first stitch, and you're going to pull that loop through and then pull until it's a good size, like so. And now you're going to insert it again and pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through. Okay, so you have your very first single crochet made. Again, I did not chain 1 or anything. So that way we have a clean transition from the first to the last stitch. So we made the first one, so we have 10 more to go. So 1, 9, and 10. So that means I did 11 in total because I just counted the one I had to do. So let's count again just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we did 11. Now we need to do our very first double crochet in Mosaic Crochet. So that means we're going to go 2 rows down. So 1, 2. There's a front loop right there. And we're going to yarn over, go through that front loop, and place a double crochet right on top of it. There we go. We made our very first mosaic double crochet. Now the next stitch is just a single crochet. So let's do that. So you're going to ignore the single crochet behind the double crochet, right? So 1 single crochet in a back loop only. Now again, 1 double crochet. So go 2 rows down through the front loop and make a double crochet. And now we need to do 8 single crochets, but we're going to do this 4 times, right? So it's 8 plus 11, so that's 19. And then you're going to do those double crochets again. Okay, so let me show you the 8 and then you understand it a little bit better. So I now did 8, so you can see now this is how far I am, and you can see this is half of my project. So now I need to start over on my graph. So I did 8 single crochets here in the back loop only. Now I'm going to do 11 again, another double crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 double crochet, and another 8 single crochets in the back loop only. Remember, you're doing the graph 4 times. Now that you finished the round, you're going to do again that slip stitch the way I did. So the invisible slip stitch, you just simply pull that loop back and then drop the color, and then you pull the loop that you had previously, which is from the other color, and pull it through the back loop. Okay, so now that we have our loop here, it is time to do the next round. So I already checked off that we just did round 3. So now we're doing round 4. So you need to now do 10 single crochets in the back loop only. Then you're doing 1 double crochet, 1 single crochet in the back loop only, 1 double crochet, 1 single crochet in the back loop only, 1 double crochet, and then 7 single crochets in the back loop only. And then you do that exact same row 4 times for this round. Okay, so let me show you one of these repeats, and then you know how to do this. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to do 10 single crochets in the back loop only. You're now going to do your double crochet 2 rows down to the exact same color in that front loop. So right here, and just 1 double crochet. Then in the next stitch, you're going to do a single crochet in the back loop only. Again, a double crochet in the following stitch through that front loop right there on the bottom. Again, a single crochet, and 1 more double crochet 2 rows down. And it's going to look like this. And now you have 7 single crochets left in the back loop only for the first repeat. That is the very first repeat. Now you're going to do that 3 more times. All right, let's hop right into row 5. You're going to do 9 single crochets in the back loop only, then double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. So you see that's 4 double crochets there with some single crochets in between, and then 6 single crochets in the back loop only again. And then you repeat that entire process 3 more times. So let's do that. Once you have your single crochets done, you're going to do the double crochet 2 rows down into the same color. Okay, then single crochet again. So all single crochets are done in the back loop. I'm just not going to mention that anymore. Okay, same is true for the double crochet, they're just done in the front loop. So single crochet, now double crochet again, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and 1 more double crochet. It's going to look like this. Now we have 7 single crochets for this repeat left. Once you're done with this repeat, you do it 3 more times for the entire round. Alrighty, we're in the next round. Again, do your slip stitches like we did before and pull up your loop through the back loop only. Now we're going to do our single crochet, and you're going to do 8 in total. Then back and forth you have double, single, double, single, double, single, double, single, double, and then 5 more single. Okay, so let's do that. Once you have your 8 single crochets, you're going to do your double crochet, single, double, single, double, single, double, and single and double. And then you have 5 more single crochets in this repeat, and the repeat looks like this. And now you're going to do that repeat 3 more times. All right, 2 more rounds to go. So in the next round, again with the dark color for me, we're doing 7 single crochets. Then you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of double, single, and so forth. And then we have 4 single crochets left for that repeat. So let's do that. Once you have your 6 single crochets, now you're going to do the back and forth between the double and single crochet. Once you're done with your double and single crochet combo, you have 4 more single crochets for that repeat. So this is how the repeat looks like. Now you're going to do that 3 more times. Okay, 1 more round. So in this round, you're going to do 6 single crochets, then double, single, double, single, double. So there's 3 double crochets right here with 2 single crochets. Then you have 3 single crochets, and then you repeat the doubles again. So double, single, double, single, double, and you have 3 more single crochets. Then you repeat that entire process 3 more times. So let's do this first part together. Once you have your first 6 single crochets, again, we're going to do our double crochets. So there should be 3 double crochets with a single crochet in between. So that is here number 2. And 1 more. So you can see now I did 3 double crochets and 1 single crochet in between. Now we have 3 single crochets. And now we do that again what we just did. So 3 double crochets and 1 single crochet in between. So double, single, double, single, and 1 more double. And it looks like this. And now we have 3 more single crochets for this repeat. Now you're going to do that entire repeat 3 more times. All right, we are done with part 1. And as you can see, my little tiny project, which is half the size of yours, looks exactly like the graph. So now you can see exactly why are they coloring it below. Even though you're ignoring that color, and I'm talking about the ones below the X, right? As you're crocheting it, you are going to ignore that color because you're going to cover it up anyways. You can see that now over here. So there's absolutely no color changes within a row. It's only happening at the beginning of the row where you're switching between 2 different colors. It is super fun, and you can see there is some 3D happening here, which is kind of cool. Anyways, I am now ready for part 2. Are you? I hope to see you back here in part 2, where we're going to do the next set of rounds. Any ideas yet what we're making? You might be able to soon guess what kind of picture we're making, but the end project, you still kind of don't know, right? So I hope to see you back here in part 2 for the next few rounds. Be sure to like, comment, and share this video. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the bell to get a notification next time I publish a video or go live. Now go ahead and watch the next video. You're gonna want to, I promise you do.